The figures are in. Public borrowing in May hit £17.7 billion, the second highest May on record, eclipsed only by the extraordinary chaos of COVID 2020. And the response from Rachel Reeves? Taxes will rise, that's it. No reform, no rethink, no roadmap, just the same exhausted reflex of fiscal punishment. The Chancellor would have us believe that she is reluctantly forced into this position by economic necessity, but in truth, this situation was neither unforeseeable nor unavoidable. The warning signs were everywhere: weak growth, persistent inflationary pressures, and interest rates still pinned high. Reeves inherited an ailing economy and administered aspirin where surgery was really required. Instead of innovation, we got national insurance hikes, a tax on work passed off as solution. The result: £3.9 billion in additional receipts, swallowed entirely by ballooning public expenditure. You might as well stick a finger in a dike and hope the water's going to stop. Well, that's a reference to Hans Bricker in The Silver Skates, his ridiculous story that was penned by an American author who'd never been to the Netherlands in 1865, Mary Mapes Dodge, and it was about well, actually, it was such a successful story it rivaled the sales of Dickens' book Our Mutual Friend that year. But actually, rather like J.K. Rowling, a lot of the information could be found in other books. It wasn't she wasn't copying Ursula K. Le Guin. She was copying a little pamphlet called the Little Hero of Harlem, which was published about 5 years earlier, and then there was another version of it in Beaton's Own in 1855. So yeah, great that here's a story which spawned a couple of films and some Disney TV specials, and even a Russian film which transferred the entire story to St. Petersburg. But I remember, because I was brought up in the Fens in Lincolnshire, I can remember regularly being told this story in my primary school about the little boy with his finger in the dike. And that's a little bit like Rachel Reeves, isn't it? Put a finger in a dike and hope the water's going to stop. And we're told that Reeves had a 9.9 billion buffer. Well, where's that gone now? Capital Economics says that she will need to raise between 13 and 23 billion pounds just to preserve that by the autumn. Why? Because of downgraded growth forecasts, spiralling debt repayments, and her own government's U-turns on welfare. This isn't fiscal management. She's barely through her payment schedule rubbish, and she's got another financial crisis. It's blindfolded guesswork with a calculator, and Reeves, for all her self-assurance, has begun to resemble a magician whose only trick is to keep pulling the same taxes out of the same empty hat. When the numbers get worse, what does Reeves do? She reaches for her tax lever. She has no structural plan to increase productivity, no vision for reforming Whitehall, no evidence of strategic ruthlessness in restraining departmental spending. Running costs, benefits, pensions, debt interest all go up under Reeves. And Reeves' answer to a structurally overweight state: feed it more. She acts like a treasurer at a burning theatre who decides to save the accounts by locking the doors and raising ticket prices. And where is the leader of the opposition in all this, trying to remember what her last position was before she forgot it? Between Starmer's silence and Reeves' spreadsheets, it's hard to know who's leading whom, or where, or why. Retailers are faltering, high street confidence is plummeting, inflation is not beaten, debt service costs are historically high, and the pound is trembling under the weight of market pessimism. And Reeves believes that she can bluff her way through by not being conservative and by sticking her finger in the dike. But the country isn't looking for a slogan, nor a finger, nor a dike. It's looking for competence. It's looking for clarity, for a plan. And she sticks her finger in the dike and hopes the water isn't going to tumble out and destroy the country. Well, I'm afraid she's wrong. This isn't about spreadsheets. It's about social consequence. Every tax rise erodes confidence. Every delay to structural reform punishes the public twice, once at the till and again when the services don't improve, don't work. The other day, my water stopped working suddenly because the electricity had a problem, and the electricity company had dug a hole out not so far from the house. And I assumed quite rightly, that the water stoppage had something to do with the electricity. So I called the electricity people, and 2 hours later I was eventually sent off to call the water people, which I did. They said they'd send someone round. An electricity man came round, and, and I tried my water, and it worked again. And then I got a message from the water people, who very kindly sent me some sort of rubbish on the phone, saying the problem is resolved, and we're not sending someone round. And I thought, well, who resolved the problem? How was the problem resolved? How did the problem start in the first place? Who cares? Nobody cares, because we don't have answers anymore. We have fixes. And have I resolved your problem? Well, even if you say no, they'll say problem resolved. Reeves is fast becoming the Madame Deficit of fiscal policy, and Starmer is her absent-minded assistant, stage assistant. One oozes confidence, the other loses his place. Both are useless, and both have got a finger in the dike. If you handed these two a lifeboat, they'd spend the first hour arguing over which side should carry the oars and which side should apologise to the waves. We're at a fiscal crossroads, and the current leadership has chosen to spin in a circle. What is needed is not another tax raid, it's a targeted reform, a growth strategy that incentivises work, supports enterprise, and reduces the grotesque complexity of the state. Taxes rise if they must, but only after you prove that you're spending wisely. As it stands, Reeves is trying to plug a leaking dam with damp policy leaflets. It's madness. It's madness. It's it's a fix with masking tape and gaffer tape and hope. A country that taxes work more than wealth, that borrows without plan, that confuses buffers with strategy, that country is on the cusp of decline. And the Chancellor may be right that taxes will rise, but what's rising faster is public doubt. And unless Reeves changes course, the only buffer left will be between the Treasury and reality, and that will not hold. That will flood the country.